What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Awakening World. It is the start of a new season. We actually technically started on Wednesday, October 1st. This is our first Saturday night show. And tonight we are going to hear from the extraordinary cosmologist, Dr. Jude Currivan, who really offers so much wisdom and a really big picture of what's going on our planet and with really our awakening world. We're also going to hear from all of you. We're going to have some dialogue with those of you who are in our Zoom room. And so this is a really good time that if any of you watching on Facebook or YouTube are going to join us, now is the time to join the Global Peace Tribe. And it's really easy. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com. globalpeacetribe.com, like what's right behind me, globalpeacetribe.com. And when you go there, just click register for the new season. And this is a good time to register for the new season. And you will get all the Zoom room links. You'll also be able to learn all about us and all that we do. And you'll get the Zoom room links for all of our shows for the rest of the year. We do a show every Wednesday and Saturday night. We are going to be doing a Sacred Sunday show on October 26th. So that's like 3 weeks from tomorrow. And so come and join us. And join us now, because if you register right now, you'll immediately get the links. You can come on into the Zoom room, because we are going to be chatting with our audience to hear more about what people want more of this year. And I'm going to be booking the shows for the rest of the season. I've got a lot of shows left to book, and I want to hear from you. And I'm going to read the responses that are coming in. But as always, we are going to get things rocking and rolling with my co-pilot, the man who makes all things happen, Mr. Omar Sharp.
Yes, indeed, that would be me. And here I am in Cloudland. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching on our streaming partners. And yes, tonight is a time when we all have a vote in what's coming up in the next couple of months. And so this song, I forget what, this song is called Total Surrender, which is what I'm doing right now. So there we go. All right. In the event of a terminal day, I would turn to you. I would say, please help me. illusion. The tears would fall, my knees would bend, I'd lift my hands up to the heavens. Help me out of this illusion. My trust is in you, my faith is strong. I hear the call, it won't be long before sunrise, the light of a brand new day. I hear you say, give me total surrender. I'm coming your way. I need total surrender. You came with me out of the mist, a violet glow, an amethyst of beauty, never seen on earth before. I'll come with you into the light. My starry eyes are burning bright. I trust you, and now I know the reason why. I hear you say, give me total surrender. I'm coming your way. I need total surrender. There's no compromise with total surrender. So come dry your eyes, give me total surrender. Whoa.
Let's all totally surrender into lots of love and twinkles for our beloved Omashar.
Indeed, that's pretty much all I do every day. Just is surrender. You know, I just have to get out of my own way because great things are coming, and I am the only one in my own way. So there is.
What are some of your tips, tools, and practices for surrender?
Well, at the moment, what's happening is it's like my whole days are now literally policing every thought, every feeling, everything I speak, because what I've found is that everything in my mind and that I'm enacting out in the world is just programming. It literally is, and from my higher self is just waiting in the background, wanting to come through. And of course, the dichotomy is that the higher self is my true self. And whenever I go to sleep, when I wake up, it's like everything that I thought I cleared out the day before is at my door again. And so I have to basically wake up and tell myself I'm connected to the source of all creation, that my higher self has got my back. And I have to surrender into that and just forgive myself for continuing the old patterns that there are. And then I wake up with this kind of panic thing, and I'll have my cup of tea. I'll go out in the back garden. I'll stand in the sun, and I will literally just start connecting myself with my angelic guides and with Helios and Vesta from the sun, and with the trees and the grass. And slowly, that which has come up to be cleared out clears away, and I find myself being present again. And I didn't have to do this 5, 6, 7 years ago because I didn't realize that I was in the way of myself. And so by the time early afternoon happens, 1 or 2, I'm starting to feel the flow of myself again. And I'll sit down and have a meditation, and then I'll do some music and maybe some exercise if I'm really into myself. And yeah, I know it's different for all of us, and we're all at different stages of our awakening. And but from one perspective, I have my foot to the floor on at the moment, because there's nothing else worth anything anymore. When I look outside in the city, in the mall, and everything that's happening in my suburb, none of it attracts me anymore. And I've just spent a beautiful weekend in San Diego with a group of like-minded souls like we have on the Global Peace Tribe here. And it was just wonderful being around kin, because I didn't have to hide myself. I didn't have to dumb my speech down. I didn't have to talk to what I thought that they wanted to hear. I could just speak from myself, as I'm doing my best to do now. I even feel a little weird doing it now because I'm sitting in a room theoretically by myself talking to a screen. So am I mad or what? Well, actually, yes. But then again,
well, I'm going to gallery review and remind you that people are listening and you're with us all, and we are actually really appreciating what you're having to share. So just
yeah, I do. Thank you. I do get that. And you know, we all want to share with each other what is the greatest awakening in ourselves. And the more that you can just get out of your mind and get into your heart and realize, you realize your connection with Mother Earth, the crystalline core, and connection with the source of all creation, the grand central sun, mother of all creation, whatever you want to, whatever verbiage you want to put in there. But it's like the old human has got eons of momentum, so much momentum that if you don't take command of yourself, the old momentum will just propel you forward. I used to enjoy being a leaf in the wind, getting blown around the world, but now it's that's stopped for me. I am now the master of my own destiny, and with all of the amazing tools and tips, like for instance, from Jude Currivan that we're just going to listen to, and Julie Kroll, and whatever else happens tonight. I've realized that there is a way, there is a path, there is a plan, and it's all good. Everything will work out. Just get out of your own way and be with like-minded kin. So thank you, Scott.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we'll be hearing much more from Mobashar tonight. Now we're going to hear from all of you, because thank you. Some of you have put in some really great thoughts. So for anybody who came in late, what we're doing today, as well as playing some really good videos, is I want to hear from all of you what you'd like to have more of, what guests, what topics would you like to experience during this final season of 2025. And there's some great suggestions that have come in. Dr. Laura writes that she's reading The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, which I read those books way back. They've been around a long time, and she'd like to listen to a knowledgeable person on those volumes. So that's a good one. I'll see what I can come up with. Dr. Laura is also suggesting astrologists, getting more astrologers coming in. I appreciate what the wild monk of the Mystic Monastery, Jerry, points out, which is that we do a lot on the Divine Feminine and Mary Magdalene, and he'd like to see more on the Divine Masculine. But you get the Divine Masculine 3 times per show by watching Omashar. But I will bring in other Divine Masculine examples above and beyond our beloved Omashar. And that's a good idea, Jerry. It really is. And I got to say, we're doing another Mary Magdalene show on October 18th. But we will balance it out, I promise. We will do a Divine Masculine. So a few people are mentioning the Twin Ray. Well, it just so happens that I'm going to play tonight a meditation, my favorite meditation from the Twin Ray that they did on our show. I still am in very close touch with them. We text each other usually. Well, we text each other every week, and we talk on the phone about once a month now, maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. And to be honest, they're still keeping a very, very low public profile. And they're still kind of reorienting after what they went through. But they're solid, they're strong. Most of you know by now, they closed the place that they had in Ashland in terms of the storefront.
The Haven.
The Haven, but they still have the sanctuary. And they will have the sanctuary for quite a while. So anyway, we are going to do that. Dorina Joy writes more Kristen Hoffman and Tatiana Speed, more comedy and magic, and the best of AI for creativity, healing, and harmony. Well, something really cool about Kristen Hoffman, I got the most wonderful gift from her. My birthday is on Christmas Day, and every year, some of you may remember this, every year, the last show of the year, Kristen Hoffman co-hosts it with me, and it's kind of a combination Christmas, birthday, New Year's show. Well, Kristen has volunteered. My birthday, it's going to be my 70th birthday. She's going to fly out on her own expense from New York to spend my 70th birthday with me, and to do the December 27th show live, sitting right here. She'll be sitting right next to me, assuming, I'll definitely be here at my house. So that just is like the most amazing gift that I've received in a really long time. So yeah, you'll definitely be seeing Kristen Hoffman. Dr. Laura writes, how about Yogi Raj, who is from the Korea? I don't know that person. So if you have a way of connecting me with that person, Dr. Laura, that would be good. More magicians. We have not had magicians on for a while. I do not know who Stefan Burns is. So Katie, you would have to connect me with Rick Levine and Stefan Burns. I don't know those people. Ann Baldwin, more shows on interspecies communication. Jasmine Bear is saying yes, yes, woof, woof. And Jane Goodall just passed away, by the way, but most of you probably know that. Susan Sabbath wants more magicians. Carol Craig wants the Twin Ray. Susan Blomquist is fond of Kalina and Vox Angeles. Yes, I can reach out to Vox. And we are supposed to have Kalina on one of the Soul Search shows. She has promised to do one more show with us this year. So I love Kalina too. I think she's amazing. Larissa, absolutely. George Noble asking for Kristen Hoffman and Larissa. They're like two of my all-time favorites. Absolutely. Two of my favorite human beings, as well as people to be on the show. More music and comedy, please. Okay, let's get more comedy going. Pet psychics and pet readings. Okay. Magicians, indigenous wisdom. Yeah, we haven't done an indigenous wisdom show for quite a while. So that would be a good thing for us to do. And now I've got to go to all the new ones that have come in while I've been reading this. Most of these I've already mentioned. Beatrice wants Dr. Kat Lewis. I can definitely arrange for Dr. Kat to be on the show again. That's easy. More astrology. Okay. I will come back after the Jude Currivan segment, and we will hear from, if there's more from all of you. So Julie Krull has the connection field. For those of you that are regulars, you've heard us talk about the connection field several times. And within the connection field, which is a website, she has the Imaginal Souls group, which Pam and Diara and Susan Blomquist and I are all part of. It meets on Thursday mornings at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And she brings in once a month in what she calls the Luminary Lounge, a special guest. And usually it's a special guest who's been on the Awakening World. And her guest on Thursday was Jude Currivan. And Dr. Jude is a cosmologist, planetary healer, futurist, author, and one of the senior businesswomen in the UK, and the founder of Whole World View. She's an extraordinary woman, very, very wise. She has lived for the last 25 years in Avebury, which is actually the really, truly spiritual. Everybody, like Stonehenge attracts the tourists, but Avebury is where it's happening, in my opinion. Jude has experienced multidimensional reality since early childhood and has worked with wisdom keepers, both incarnate, indigenous, and also soul level. She's this amazing combination of brilliant psychologist, cosmologist, and also very tapped into the other world. So here is Julie interviewing Jude Currivan with some really wonderful feedback about what's happening with our awakening world right now. So here we go.
What advice would you have for other imaginal souls, emerging leaders, people? I don't know if you heard Douglas say, okay, I was a psychotherapist, now I'm here to do this work. How do we learn how to trust that impulse of the universe? And really, you know, many have spent decades in practice of that. And now it's like practice in motion, like tuning in motion. I'm wondering what advice you might have for emerging leaders and leaders that are in heavy in the work right now of how do we do this now? What's most important?
There is an old saying that we progress at the speed of trust. And I think that's both true of growing communities, how we learn to trust each other. But I think the deeper trust is trusting ourselves. And trusting ourselves that we have innate meaning and purpose in this world. Trusting ourselves that we can hear and listen and be willing to do so to our guidance. I mean, can you remember years ago, you and I had this conversation about coherence, and we talked about cohering and cohering. And it's that, it's being more and more willing to hear and listen to what is flowing through us, and to trust it and to show up for it. And, you know, I'm having so many conversations like Douglas is, and you just said, at the moment, there's a big, major traction happening in terms of trying to overturn the old way of working with financial reporting. It sounds incredibly nerdy, and it is, but I'm also a qualified accountant, so I'm being invited into this conversation, and about accounting for reality, because we've not accounted for the reality of the world. We've taken out things that we didn't want to acknowledge. We've seen things that are external, nothing's external. So there's a major movement now about accounting for reality so that we make better decisions that are for the health of people and our beloved planetary home. But the person who is leading that has spent 25 years being laughed at, about being ignored, about going into major organizations and trying to say we need to account for reality, because otherwise we cannot make wise decisions about people and places and our planetary home and each other. And now he's being listened to. But he had to go through 25 years and still keep going. Douglas, I'm sure you could tell lots of stories. I'm sure everyone on this call could share lots of stories. I laugh with my husband about my work. I say I couldn't get arrested 25 years ago.
And yet you could, I could go on a whole thing with that, but I don't.
I think we all could.
Yeah,
But
I
we
love
can-
that phrase, Jude, like accounting for reality. And the thing that I think where it niggles at me is to say, and we need to understand the true nature of reality. We
exactly.
need to, and that's what you have gifted the planet with the cosmic hologram and all of your work and whole worldview. Everything you're doing is to help us get that picture. And I think many that are with us today understand that. But let's talk about that in terms of one special thing that I want to bring in is the science of unitive love. This week I wrote an article coming out of the Heartland. Heartland. I live in the Heartland, and the Heartland Gathering is in my home state, and bringing the heart into the heart and the true nature of reality and heart and land together. I wrote a poem called, it was about the heart and the land together when they're one. So it inspired me to write about harmonic love, because I talked about harmonic love in something that I was gifted back in 2016 with our political arena, when I was seeing the polarization, and the guidance being that whenever there's polarization, the third thing stabilizes. The third thing helps transmute or dissolve.
Yeah.
And what I
Yeah.
saw at the time was harmonic love as this field, as this unitive field, as divinity, as, we can look at that harmonic love in so many ways. And now you're starting to write about the science of unitive love. So can you just speak whatever's on your heart today to speak about unitive love and the science of unitive love? Because I think it's really good fodder for imaginal souls to go with confidence in the world going, this is a real thing. And this is accounting for reality when I account for unitive love. Like when we bring love into the equation, it's part of that reality that we're trying to bring to transform and transmute what's happening on the planet right now.
Absolutely. And the science of unitive love or soul really began a few years when I was writing Cosmic Hologram, Story of Gaia, Whole World View, and all of the unitive science that, we've spoken often about, and that underpins and frames all this unitive perspective. Unitive science that converges with, indigenous traditions and wisdom teachings, universal wisdom teachings, into this unitive perspective, and that the unitive science actually was the grounding for which we were able to draft a unitive narrative. And a unitive narrative is convergent, inner and outer being and doing. I'll come back to masculine and feminine in a minute, because I think that goes to your point around the Trinity. But from the unitive narrative comes then the unitive perspective, unity in action, or as our dear friend Bob Atkinson would say, wholeness in action. And this perspective that if we can truly remember that this is who we are, that, we've had a worldview of separation and materialism and all of that, and yet the evidence is now turning that completely on its head to show us that our universe meaningfully exists, purposely evolves as a unitive entity, as a living being, mind and consciousness fundamental to its manifestation. Then I would say that for me, the most profound definition of love is right relationship, is that harmonic relationship that you mentioned. That's the most profound experiencing of love. And that's what our universe does. So I've over time become to describe our universe not just as living, but essentially loving. And so with that and the underpinning and framing of that unitive perspective, we can say that love is a universal, foundational, universal way of being and an evolutionary force. So how does that then be experienced in our embodiment and our experience of love? And that's where the science of unitive love came from. It was seeing love in its, the Greeks had two words for Venus, or Aphrodite, the goddess of love. There was the human level of love, with all of the twos and the fros and the rest of it. And then there was that higher octave that we can raise to when we realize that we belong to ourselves, to each other, to our planetary home, to our whole universe, that is essentially loving. And that is their definition of divine love. And so Science of Unitive Love is really bringing all of that into experience to show how profound it is that after 14 billion years of evolution, we as individuated, self-aware beings, microcosmic co-creators of our universe's realities, we feel love. And at the most profound level, that transports us. It transcends who we are. I always remember seeing, can you remember the Boxing Day tsunami in the Indian Ocean?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. There's one picture that I remember from that day, and it's of this vast wave coming in, and there are two children, and they've got their backs to it. They have no idea what's coming. And the mother is looking at them. And instead of running away from the wave, she runs absolutely towards it. Absolutely towards it. Because her love for her children, regardless, was so overwhelming. No wave was going to get in the way. However, and they all three survived. But it's so profound. The depth of love, that when we feel that depth of love, it's the whole universe flowing in coherence through us, is what I'm saying. And you talked about the triads and the ancient sacred marriage, realizing that each of us have the divine masculine and feminine flowing through us. When that comes together within and between us, we enter a sacred marriage with ourselves and with each other, and that creates that third resolution, that third aspect of creation, which is the child energy, which is that co-creative, wondrous, joyous, evolutionary gift that the universe offers us. So this is what the Science of Unitive Love is about, and we're working with other folks and organizations and researchers because there's some amazing explorations going on now. But just to show us the power of love. Because we've had this, we say it often, we've had the love of power, we now awakening up. And just to finish off by saying that I was in Iceland earlier on this year, and on a stage with the president of Iceland, who is a woman called Halla Tómasdóttir. And in addition to her having conversations about economics, we talked about love. Because she wants, as the president of a country, that her country is a beacon of light, and that light is founded on love.
Wow.
So,
that like there's two beautiful examples of love, like the president of Iceland, but I want to go back to that tsunami.
Yeah.
Because what you just did, Jude, that I think is really unique, but like utterly important for us right now, is you gave an example of that. Like we typically go love, relational love. But what you talked about is this incredible force of love. Like even her great love rushing to her children saved all three of them, perhaps. And when you're thinking about the energy of the universe, like for whatever reason, that force became a force. So like that puts it into real life, tangible form for us, that we can talk about romantic love, we can talk about love for a pet, love for a child, love for a job, love for a role, but when we know how to harness that love, something different happens with the universe, because it's all one thing, right? Like you get clues of how the universe really comes into form, from frequency to form, back to frequency, back to form. So do you want to say anything more about that before I kind of shift us a little bit?
Well, first of all, to wholeheartedly agree. And to say that, ancient wisdom has pointed to this for thousands of years. The Tao talks about in the beginning is the one, not was, is the one. The one becomes two, not as a past, but as an ever-present differentiation, not as separation, but as differentiation. The two become three, which is your point about resolution. And from the three, 10,000 things are born. So this profound recognition that to know itself, the unity of the universe differentiated itself, to see itself And from that, seeing itself, explored itself further through the threeness and the 10,000 thingness of the abundance of its manifestation. And crucially, that there is no separation. That's an illusion that, in a way, can be helpful to differentiate. But it's when we become method actors, instead of realizing that it's a role we play, we sort of immerse ourselves in the role and forget that we are inseparable. We are unique, and yet we are inseparable. So that's to add before, obviously, you take us further.
Well, that was a perfect lead in. Thank you. You set up the next question so beautifully. Of course you did. What I was going to bring in next, the next topic that I think is essential for us, is this time that we're in. And when you're talking about the illusion of separation and really moving into this unitive state, honoring differentiation, honoring how we're doing this beautiful life experience, loving, living universe around us. I was on a call yesterday with Jyoti Ma. It's going to be one of our wisdom keepers for the October 10/10 catapult. And Jude, when I talked to you about catapult, you were an immediate yes, and you're our wisdom keeper for December. So everyone mark your calendar, 12/12 will be Jude. And one of the things Jyoti Ma said to me yesterday, which was like, I can't tell you why catapult came in, but it's just, it has. And the thing about the 9/9 was, we're done, the completion of completions, the done of done. And so I get on with Jyoti Ma, who was like so thrilled to see what we're doing.
Great.
As is so many others. And she said, and I don't remember what tradition she comes from, but she said, there's a 13-year, this is the 13th year of the Great Cleanse. And the 13th year of the Great Cleanse is the last year. Like, that's it. So maybe you know what tradition that is. But I want to bring that in to kind of bring in the perspective for us as visionary leaders, as change agents on the planet, to go, oh yeah, now is the time to move us into the reimagining, the building, the transformation, like to let go of separation and the consequences. And it's hard for leaders. It's hard for imaginal souls and other leaders when we come into the suffering of what's ending and the grief of what's ending. But if we can look at it from this cosmology, and where you're coming from, helping us understand as a cosmologist, as Jyoti Ma says, the Great Cleansing was a 13-year period, and we're ending in 2025. 2025 is the ending of that, which was the 9/9, to say goodbye to it. So what can you share with us today about the cosmology of the time we're in and really how we're going? And then my final little topic to you is all the really cool things you're seeing that's happening. We're going to go there next. You don't need to write it down. I'll totally remind you, but we're in a really important time, and it's a transition time, but also entering the transformation. So what do you want to share about that?
Gosh, there's lots and lots. Okay, first of all, ancient traditions, many ancient traditions that I've sort of worked with since I was a child, apart from the sort of the science stuff, I was always reverential for indigenous wisdom and ancient wisdom as well. Not that everyone knows everything, and we are in an evolutionary world, but ancient wisdom often talks about harmonics and 12 into 13. And there is this understanding that when 12 come together, both geometrically but also consciously, a 13th comes forward. So when we talk about, one surrounded by 12, whether it's Jesus with 12 disciples, or, within the Greek pantheon of gods or whatever, then 12 around one forms this 13th whole. In musical terms, 13 is the notes of the ancient chromatic scale of music. So that completes a frequency doubling. We would call it an octave within our eightfold notal system. But the ancient musical system was called the chromatic scale, and it had 13 notes. So in a way, 13 ends that time frame, or that musical frame, because often music is called number through time. That was the ancient curriculum, that number formed the basis of the way the world is manifested. And so geometry is music in space, geometry is number in space and music is number in time. So both geometrically and musically, 13 is a completion. And then the next level essentially begins, but it's not a cycle, it's a spiral. It's a spiral of expanding and raising consciousness. So I would suspect that what Jyoti was referring to was the 13 years since 2012. And 2012 in the Mayan calendar numerology, and 13 years beyond that into 2025. And it happens that 2025-26 is of major astrological significance, because all 5 outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are changing signs. And they're doing so not just to change signs, but they're doing so to literally complete a major cycle that at the February 20th of next year begins the next cycle. So your catapult intuition is, of course it is, perfectly timed, because the 13th one is really the 1-1 into next year, but that then moves us into this final completing phase of then whatever the next era and epoch is unfolding before us. So I think that's where I'll complete, unless there's anything. Oh, and I wrote a book called The 13th Step. So 13 holds a lot of resonance for me, because that was major journeys around the world where a lot of this deeper understanding, you know, this inner and outer discovery journey was taking place, what, 25, 30 years ago.
Beautiful. You never cease to amaze me. I think I know you so well, and then little threads drop through that are so beautiful. Jude, just before I move to the last one, then we're in between the 9-9 of release, choosing to release, and the 10-10, choosing to remember. Is there anything you want to say? Because that completion, I think, is an important message for us, but we're really focusing on the energetics of release here until the 10-10 portal. Anything you want to add to that before I close with one final question?
Okay. Well, for me, 9, yes, is a release, and also grounding, actually. It's a release through grounding of then greater authenticity, as it were. Because I think one of the things that we've been in is you know, a dis-ease of separation. So I think that the healing and the release of the traumas of that are key. But I think in terms of 10-10 and the remembering, I talk about remembering rather than remembering. It's the remembering of any dismemberment we've undertaken. And so many years ago, I was told that this would be a time of remembering, when we would remember our extraterrestrial, our intraterrestrial, and our human heritage. And as we release the trauma of our perceived separation, I think we literally are remembering our star families. We're remembering the intraterrestrial families that share our beloved Gaia sentience with us. And we're remembering, certainly as far as I would say, the archetypal sentience of our solar family, which is why, you know, I feel astrology is such a significant tradition for us now. And the work that I've been doing the last few years in collective and systemic constellation work and blind constellation work have really emphasized the importance of bringing this remembering of all of our family, all the vast families of our universal's sentience into the field for exploration and community, because we're all part of this evolutionary moment, it seems to me.
Yeah, beautiful. So that does lead perfectly again to my last inquiry of you, which is you have your finger on the pulse of so much change, so much beautiful building behind the scenes, so much that's emerging. Your focus, you've done education, economics, there's a lot of different, you know, we're all like, we were just in the health and wellness realm last weekend. It's like, and consciousness. I'm wondering if you could just give us a couple messages of hopes of what you see moving, just the encouragement that this is really emerging on every continent, in every country. Everyone has felt like, oh, we've got so much to do, but somehow we need to know that it's being done. So we just need to do our part. So give us a little pep talk of what you see happening and what's emerging around the planet.
What's emerging is we are finding each other, and we're not having to search, we're not having to push or pull it. The universe is bringing us into remembered community, it seems to me. And that little story we shared at the beginning of this lady who was with you and Teresa at the Heartland, who is actually an impact investor. She is working to really, transform the ways in which people who are themselves awakening up and want to serve the good of the whole come into using their monetary abilities to invest in the things that are healthy, that are supportive of people and our beloved planetary home. So those folks are finding each other. We talked about accounting for reality. The folks there are finding each other. The organizations that are being involved in this, there's an organization called Pensions for Purpose, 400 organizations actually, but guided by a sense of how can we serve the evolution and the transformation of this financial economic ecosystem to one that is healthy and serves, the good of the whole. And they're finding each other. And literally, I was only invited into their explorations a few months ago. And it's just what's moved in a few months, ready for the next gathering in Brazil for the COP30, but also for reporting for year-end 2025. It sounds so prosaic, but it's so important, because if we can get some transparency into what matters as soon as we can, then better decisions occur as soon as they can, because more and more people want to make better decisions. And that's happening on every level, whether it is economics, whether it is education. I'm working with folks who are bringing this unitive wholeness perspective into education. There's so much to talk about, and it would, but what I would say is I would not be here. I would be in my garden tending to my peas, although it's not the season for peas. I would have been, if I didn't really feel that this is the time for us all to say yes to showing up more than we ever had. Doug, 45 years, not a moment wasted, but my goodness me, what a time to show up. Everyone, this is the time to say yes to love. This is a time to say yes to serve. And Julie, you said it so beautifully, and ask what is ours to do, because what is ours to do is unique to us, and it can be tiny. That doesn't, we don't know. The world is not linear. Something big doesn't mean it's important. Something tiny doesn't mean it's not important. It's what is calling us, what makes our hearts sing, and what is ours to do. And now is the time to say yes to all of that.
I love it. That was perfect. That was perfect. Thank you so much. And hopefully we're all feeling our yes. We're going to open it up to our community now, Jude, and just have a dialogue, have conversation, share, question, answers. So welcome to the Imaginal Souls. I love this. And anyone is welcome to, let's raise your hand if you can, so we can stay in that way. And look, there's Dara raising her hand first. So we'll start there.
Oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun in this conversation. Thank you so much. And it's such confirmation. I've written Post-it notes all over, every time something's shared. It's like, oh yes, oh yes. I'll just, I've said a long time ago that someday we're going to be able to do testing like we do DNA testing to find our star lineage. That's actually going to be coming in science. And I too should have been arrested a long time ago for teaching the things in the schools that I have been. And I remember not too long after we discovered that, tables weren't solid, that they were held together with atoms, I realized and started teaching that the space in between is actually love. And love is what holds everything together, and we just haven't figured out how to quite measure it yet. And that love is palpable. When I was working with gang members, I developed what I called a wall of love. And so whatever they threw at me out of their hurt and pain, it would hit right about here, so it didn't come into my body and my heart, so it didn't take me off center. And it's so powerful. The other thing that you talked about was the tsunami. And the night before that happened, I remember I was in San Diego, and I remember looking out at the coast, and the whole skyline had a hue, a different color that I'd never seen before. And I knew that something was happening, and then the next day, the tsunami came. So it was a pivotal moment for so many reasons that I don't even think I'm consciously aware of yet. And the last thing I'll say for now, I would love to contribute to the work in education. I created something called
Oh, she froze right at the moment.
I
Spiritual
know.
Diversity in Education, about 30 years. Did I freeze?
You did. So right when you said, I've been working with, so go right back there, Diara.
So working with a program called Spiritual Diversity in Education, and actually brought that into the public schools.
Right.
And it became part of the professional development for teachers and administrators in San Diego County. And the whole premise of that, Jude and everyone, is exactly what we're talking about, is recognizing the move to wholeness, and that in order to accelerate this within each individual, we need to talk about that spiritual essence as well as the physical, mental, and emotional components in education. So anyways, I've got a lot more to say about that. And for now, Julie, when you talked about the dots, connecting the dots at the beginning, I heard the word sheath. And so I looked it up. I just put it in the chat, and, connecting the dots and the dots connecting are forming a sheath. And a sheath is something, a form-fitting covering that provides protection, as in the protective layer of an electric cable, et cetera, et cetera. So with that, again, thank you for having me be here, and much love to all of us in this Zoom room and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you. Douglas.
Thank you. Good to be here. Wow, that was really exciting to hear all this, a confirmation of what I believed and what I'm thinking, my destiny, my future, and all that. As a counselor, I worked in the field of forensics for 20-something years, the last 20 years, and I got to witness through my clients the suffering that they're going through, essentially, with a system that's breaking down in our country. Yesterday, I was on a call through the Copra course, Fritjof Capra, where he was talking about Ilya Prigogine and the dissipative structures, essentially, how we are going through that right now, going into a time of coherence. And I see this as being aligned with the evolutionary impulse, essentially, that each of us in our hearts were coming into alignment with this evolutionary impulse. Barbara Marx Hubbard was one of my mentors growing into all of this, essentially my next iteration, my next chapter. So I would like to pose a question to you, Jude, if you would, please. How is this manifesting, this new coherence through dissipative structures? We're falling apart as a world, as a species, rather. But from what you're saying, we're coming into a new alignment with this evolutionary impulse, this wholeness, this new story that's emerging of wholeness. How is this going to look going into this next year? I hope that makes sense.
It makes eminent sense. I don't have an answer. Because my sense is things are moving so quickly, so profoundly at the moment, that, trying to sort of see where we'll be a year from now. I for myself, that's not where my focuses. My focus is how can I attune and align with what's flowing through in every moment? How can I step up and serve it to the best of my ability in every moment, and trust that if I do that, and we all do that, then it will be in the best place it could be, as it were, in whatever time frame we're talking about. And when Ilya talked about dissipative structures, a person is a dissipative structure. A planet is a dissipative structure, because what that means is we take in energy, we use what's required to maintain our coherence, and then we release the rest. So if we see the whole of the evolutionary impulse as the evolutionary flow through not just ourselves, but through our planetary home and beyond, then what's flowing through now is the potential to evolve to greater levels of complexity. And if we look at the 4 billion years of our planetary home Gaia's evolutionary journey, it has been from simplicity to ever greater levels of complexity. And that has been through cooperation. So when we look at biology, we started off with single-celled biological organisms without a nucleus. And then a little bacterium went into symbiosis, and we had both a little energy engine within each cell, which is still there, the mitochondria, and we had nucleus within a cell, which enabled greater levels of complexity. And then cells began to join together, and on we go. So every time that there's been a move of evolutionary impulse, it's been through cooperation and collaborative action. And it seems to me that that's our potential now. So our choice is, given that whole, dissipative process and evolutionary flow, going back to what we were saying, are we going to wake up to remember that we aren't separate from each other, we're inseparable, and yet we are unique? It's rather like we are each unique cells in our planetary homes, just as we have 37 trillion cells or so within each of us. So that's our choice. Do we come together to cohere, to come together? And I'm reframing what's often called a metacrisis at the moment into a metamorphosis. And that's the exact process of metamorphosis. When the old caterpillar is dying down, is dissolving into a nutrient soup, where the imaginal cells of the butterfly are starting to form and be activated, and then they start to find each other, and they begin to form the organelles of the emergent butterfly. That is, for me, what I would see as this potential and this process that we're all in, with all its turbulence, with all its challenges, with all that we know so clearly. And yet I think reframing this process as an evolutionary flow and as a metamorphosis is both authentic, and it gives us also and empowers us to come together, to work together, to empower that emergent transformation.
Thank you for all you imaginal cells coming together. Yeah, thank
All
you.
these imaginal cells on this call.
I want to acknowledge all the imaginal cells and souls that are little global peace drivers. So I hope that you all enjoyed the wisdom of Jude Curvin. She's really quite amazing, isn't she? And I'm going to read a few comments that came in. Celeste says, that was great. Yes, we are the imaginal cells of the new humanity. This conversation is truly right on track with my new book, Kaleidoscope for Becoming, where I identified the 12 codes of the evolutionary trajectory. So Celeste, send me more information about your book so that we can have you on an Authors That We Love show, which, by the way, since I'm mentioning that, our show on Wednesday night, our next show, Next Awakening World, is another edition of Authors That We Love. And we're going to be meeting 3 new authors, 3 people that have never been on the show before. So that's going to be happening this Wednesday night. And certainly any of you that have books that you think are, really appropriate for Awakening World, please feel free to always recommend your favorite authors to me. All right. Well, our favorite musical artist is Omar Shah. We are at time for the mid-show break. So put on your dancing shoes, and I'm going to turn it over to our Omar Star.
Inseparable. I've changed like a butterfly. It's something very new. I'm feeling so alive, and yes, it's true. Nothing is the same. I'm bigger than before. And yet I know that I am still a child. A child without a care in this new world. And so connected to you. An innocent new life, a heart so true. A dream that seems so far away is living here in me, freeing all the pain that paved the way. The miracle of love has opened up the door, and now I know that I am still a child without a care in this new world, and so connected to you. An innocent new life, a heart so true. Is beating once again. I'm feeling so secure, and yet I know that nothing's like before. My mind is now at peace, no need to know the way. And yes, I'm glad that I am still a child without a care in this new world. So connected to you. An innocent new life, a heart so true. I'm still a child without a care in this new world, and so connected to you. I'm innocent and deep and pure and true.
Woohoo! You are such a beautiful child. Let's all give some twinkles and some love to our beloved Omar Shah.
Yes, well, you know, it's the entranceway to the heart. The door in the heart is through the child that we always have been and always are. And so, thank you, Scott.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I'm going to read a few more comments that have come in. And Celeste, I look forward to checking out your book. And it looks like people really enjoyed what Caravan had to share. A lot of people are certainly enjoying what Omashar just shared as well. And bald eagles. Dr. Laura and Jerry Anderson are having eagle experiences. So you're seeing the big picture. Reverend Jeffrey always reminding us that Lovolution is the solution, and that there's a new video that he's promoting from his good friend Nassim Harriman. So there's a good link at the YouTube there. Nayla is suggesting that we invite educators nurturing the whole child. Steiner, empathy, education, poetry writing, farming, cooking, conflict resolution. Well, there's a good one that you can work on, DR, since DR is one of our main educator type people. And Carol's pointing out that she knows about half the people, more than half the people in the Imaginal Souls group. Oh, you know, I should let people know again, if you're interested in joining the Imaginal Souls, go to the connection field. And I'm going to put the link in right now where you can, you know, kind of learn more about Julie. And again, it's Julie Kroll and Teresa Collins that have created the connection field. And you can learn all about it by just going to the connectionfield.net.
And also, Scott, they have Catapult within the connection field, which is on 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12, and 1, 1. And Kristen Hoffman actually opened it last month on 9, 9, and I'm the musical guest this Friday on 10, 10, along with Jyoti Ma and other beautiful people that I've already spaced out on. But anyway, that's a good thing because you were talking about the connection field.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put in right now, and yes, Omashar is going to be the next musical artist on the connection field. And here is, thank you for reminding me, I actually was going to do this. And here in the chat box is the information about where you can join the connection field, and you can also join the Imaginal Souls. Oh, that's too much. So hang on a second.
And the connection field is a free registration, just so you know.
Yeah, I've got too many, so I got to just let go of a few characters. So I'm trying to find which characters to let go of. Register here, we got to keep that. Okay. Guiding should no longer way to the truth. Okay, here we go. Okay, it's in the chat box. Including if you want to see the 9-9, the replay of the 9-9 with Kristen Hoffman is in the chat box there. And for those of you who are watching on Facebook or YouTube, again, if you go to connectionfield.net, connectionfield.net, and that's where you can learn all about it. And you can find, here's the catapult thing right at the very top. Just click Catapult, and that'll take you to where you can learn about what's happening. Here's the event replays. Here's how to learn all about it. And it is a whole process, and it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. And so many of our, you know, Unity Earth, Global Peace Tribe, Connection Field, you know, we're all part of the same big family coming together. So, we had a request to hear from Matt Kahn, and the request came from Omashar. So here's an oldie but goodie. I promised to play a few oldies but goodies from tonight. And this is when we had Matt Kahn on the show. And he's beautiful, and I hope you'll enjoy this. So, Matt, thank you again for all the books, all the YouTube videos that you've created, all the travels and the lectures, all the ways that you also have helped light the way for us. And thank you for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here with all of you. And if this is the first time that we are connecting, what I offer is a transmission of healing energy, and it comes through the sound of my voice. and through the gaze that comes through eye contact. And I offer it to the world because we're at a point in history where it's not just about the big and bold ideas that we consider, but to actually feel the direct experience that this awakening consciousness is bringing to all. When we reflect, or at least when I reflect over the last 2 years, I went through an extraordinary experience that in some ways was some of the toughest times in my life. I had experienced many awakenings throughout my life, and over the last 2 years, I found myself going through an unexpected experience of coming back fully into the body I had previously woken up from. And in going through an experience of integration, I was so humbled and blessed to experience what I look at as perhaps the next stage beyond awakening, the stage of embodiment. And so as I transmit with all of us tonight, I want to boldly offer this invitation. The invitation that in the new paradigm, the way we raise our vibration is by praising our vibration. And that just as much as we are all way showers and anchors of light, and we are living in a world where the collective aspect of humanity is just discovering unity consciousness, or awakening out of the limitations of individual perception and realizing the interconnectedness that unites us as one. But what I find equally fascinating is also what are the beings who already have that spiritual orientation? What's their awakening? Because there's no such thing as a spiritual being waiting for the world to get its act together. And just as much as there are beings who are going through a process of existentially erasing the line between individual and collective, we equally as spiritually oriented beings are undergoing a process of erasing any perception of separation between spiritual and the personal. And so when we praise our vibration, like I often talk about in Whatever Arises, Love That, it is not love instead of fear. In the new paradigm, it is loving the one who hides in fear. It is not love instead of sadness, but using the love to embrace the sadness within us so that when we're in the presence of another being who is sad, we have practiced making such peace and such a connection of friendship and intimacy with our own emotions that we can actually hold space for the healings occurring in those who are manifested in our direction. And as spiritual beings, this is a time to erase any imagined barriers between the human experience, the personal experience, and the spiritual reality. We are not waking up out of being a person to hide in higher dimensions. We are bringing our higher dimensional consciousness into the physical form as a gateway that brings unity consciousness into this world. So we can begin collaborating, connecting, and recreating the infrastructure of this world from the inside out, all anchored at the vibration of love. To think about raising a vibration suggests that I'm going to lift my energy above a lower vibration to stay in the higher vibration. And so many beings have the misfortune of then blaming someone who bumped them out of their higher vibrational experience. But when we so boldly praise our vibration as a means of raising our vibration, we are taking the higher aspects of our infinite intelligence, the glory and radiance of our eternal hearts, and we are embracing every wound. We're consoling every fear, and we are allowing ourselves to go through a living experience of alchemy where we are living embodied agents of transformation that watch the work of art of the universe come alive within us when we love ourselves in response to whatever experience arises. We are no longer on paths assuming or trying to do any amount of spiritual work to get out of certain experiences. We accept from a space of surrendered resolve that every experience that we are having is not a sign of what you haven't worked on, looked at, or processed, or traced back to a past experience. For all of the memories that live in the cells of our bodies are one with the pain the world is still learning to face. And as we love in ourselves what arises spontaneously in experience, we are loosening the collective density that allows the world to find safety, to come out of hiding, and to find the ability to connect heart to heart, and to bask in the glory of true intimacy without the fear of being annihilated by an awakening consciousness that is only intimidating when we hide in our egos and turn away from this invitation to become one with the love that we are. And as I personally reflect on the last few years of what has happened as I've come into the state of embodiment, what was important before has become impeccably important now. My service to humanity is not limited to the books I write, to the YouTube videos that have become popular, to this moment where I'm transmitting with you. My offering to humanity is the artistry of my personal conduct, where in every breath, the most important thing in my entire life is that I am giving anyone that enters my presence a course corrective experience of my gender, a course corrective experience of my race, a course corrective experience of my consciousness, and a course corrective experience of my form. For it is my greatest desire to not assume I know anything about the experiences of anyone's journey, so that I have so much to learn in listening to the unique testimony of every human being. And if they have been negatively affected, or anyone in their ancestry has been affected by the race my body expresses, by the gender my body reflects, by the consciousness I embody, or the form that I remind them of, it is my living duty and service as a heart-centered way shower of unity consciousness to be the difference of experience that allows this world to unite as one, and to do so in the name of love, as we as spiritual beings unite the personal with the spiritual. If we will raise our vibration, let us do so by praising our vibration, and let us love ourselves, connect with others, and face a world of uncertainty as the love that we are.
Boom. Really, really beautiful. Ayada, I read your message and just want to know that I like your ideas. So again, please connect me with some of the people that you're mentioning. And really it goes for everybody, it's harder if you just say, hey, how about this person? What really helps is if you can connect me with that person, if you can create a three-way cell phone thread, or give me the best way to reach that person. That is a more likely way for me to make it happen. And yes, I saw Mark Sims and he said he'd love to be on the show. I've reached out to him a couple times since and haven't heard back. Mark kind of comes in and out of different realities. But I would love to have Mark back on the show again sometime soon as well. I need to take a minute to find the next video that I want to share. I had them all and they kind of got a little bit lost for a moment there. But the next video that I'm going to share is from the Twin Ray. And here we go. I love this. It's a meditation, and it starts with this song that Shekinah Ma wrote. We call it the Miracle Song. She was just in the sanctuary singing, and somehow her cell phone went in to record. She recorded this song, didn't even realize she was recording it. She was singing for the children that are suffering. The song is in Hebrew. It's very, very beautiful. Kind of perfect for right after Yom Kippur. And her cell phone recorded it. And she then had DJ made a video, which is the video you're going to see. But the song is not a produced recording. It's just from her cell phone recording her singing spontaneously. And then after that, Sanandaji and she lead a meditation, which is beautiful. And then we are going to go to Diara for a prayer. So here we are with our beloved friends, Shekinah Ma and Sanandaji, the Twin Ray. And they may not be calling themselves the Twin Ray much longer. So
I was here by myself and I had placed my phone down. And I just started to sing. I was singing the voice of the mother to the children, receiving the prayers and sending them right back, sending the miracles consistently. And I was even moved. There's a moment, you'll probably hear it, but I even have tears running down my face during this moment because the prayers are so significant and because the suffering is so great right now. And it also connected into when this was written and what was happening at that time. And so this is a transmission. And the miracle here is that the phone just started recording this transmission all on its own. And then when I went back to it after the practice was complete, a couple hours later, there was this long recording of this transmission. And I remember I said, this is a transmission now that needs to be given. Now, this isn't a produced song or video or anything. It's just my singing a cappella in the center, transmitting from my pure heart to the pure heart of the world. And that's what it is.
all right, I'm pulling it up.
Hana bekoge julat yaminecha tati tehua kaberina tamcha sabenu darenu noa Hana bekoge julat yaminecha tati tehua Nagibod do shahe yichudecha kvevat shamurem Hana bekoge julat yaminecha tati tehua Bachem tacharem rachame zirkateka tamid gamlem Hana bekoge julat yaminecha tati tehua Asin kadosh burov tufka na'eladatecha
Ana bekoge julat yami nehatati teua. Yachid gelamcha penesochae kadushatecha. Hana bekoge julat yamineha tati teua. Shaveinu kabel ushma sarkateinu yodeat alumo. Hana bekoke julat yamineha tati teua. Baruch Hashem kavod malchuto leolam ba'ed. Amen.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
With the vibration of your voice, so is you know. And whenever I listen to that video, and I play it for myself sometimes, it brings great comfort. It brings very, very great comfort. And I'd love to just go straight into, if you'd like to, as we're in this beautiful vibration, lead a short meditation for us, please.
Take a moment and just turn your eyes inwardly into your heart, to the center of your heart. Beautiful expression of the divine that's living and beating inside you. And take a breath into the center of that heart, and as you exhale, just relax your body. It's relaxing in to this moment, letting all of the week just fall away, all of the day just drop to the wayside, and all that remains is the presence of your pure, beating heart. And just take a moment to contemplate and to feel this statement, this sharing, that you are the miracle of divine love. You, in this moment, in this life, you are the miracle of divine love.
For it were not for divine love, you would not be here. You are the very miracle that divine love made in manifest form.
Letting go of all thoughts about your personal experience, your story, your person. Just let that all go as well, and just be present. That one truth, that you are the miracle, divine love. Your very existence, the very front of this experience of your life is the miracle. And that awareness, that pure awareness, that moment before the thought arises, but that pure witness that is the very source of love. Just allow yourself to be present in that purity that you are. No matter what the mind thinks, no matter what the mind may project or judge throughout its time, turning your mind and your awareness inwardly to your heart, the true nature and the spark of divinity that allows you this very precious gift, the incarnation, this very breath of spirits that sustains you in this moment. Contemplate that and allow that contemplation to open up more inside you throughout this show, throughout tonight. Allow that contemplation that you are divine love manifested, that your life is only possible because of divine love. And you are that miracle of divine love. And as you feel that, as you go deeper with that, allow yourself to acknowledge where you may not express that, where you may not choose to live that. And the powerful divine will that's been given to all humans, that free will is to choose love. And then you realize it's never a choice.
With every breath you take, you have the opportunity to choose love. You have the opportunity to open yourself right now 100% to the beauty and the bounty of divine love. For divine love, in its presence and in its witness, glorifies every particle of you. It upholds, uplifts, and gives in great cherishing love. An expression that is so deep within the makeup and the very fabric of your soul's essence. Divine love is what you are made of, and the miracles do not exist outside of you. They exist deep within the core of your heart. They open with the doors and the gateways by the purity of your righteous actions, your thoughts, your deeds, your virtues. Contemplate, do you allow divine love to truly envelop your essence? And do you choose to drop and dissolve everything that could disallow that experience? In this meditation, we invite you to choose with great vehemence and great conviction inside of you that you choose now to open, no matter what you've done, no matter what has been done to you, to that presence of divine love. For it shall never judge you. It shall never do anything but give and share the love of creation that you already are.
And the capacity for you to feel divine love, the depths of your being, how deep you feel love perfectly is exemplified by how much compassion you can give. The greater compassion that you can give to this world and to others and have for all of creation is the greater capacity to feel that love of truth that you are. And the beautiful thing with love true, divine, perfect love. When you taste it, when you experience it, and you taste from the fountain of the true self, the supreme real and supreme reality, when you taste that, nothing else will ever do. And so we ask each one of you, do you wish to taste the nectar of the miracle of your true nature? Do you wish to taste the miracle of divinity itself? Do you wish to drink from the fountain of God's grace? And if you wish that, all you need to do is surrender, surrender, and surrender.
And surrender some more.
And when you do, you'll be caught in the ocean of eternal bliss, eternal love. So may you feel that, and may you never forget that, and may you never forget who you truly are, what you truly are, and to show up from that knowing, because to know God is to love God, and to love God is to know God. And when you choose love over everything else, you take refuge in the presence of the Almighty. Blessed be.
Blessed be. So I was here.
You know, I listen to that as an audio frequently, but it's been a while since I've watched it. And what really stood out for me was when Sanandaji is sharing about tasting divine love, and you can just tell by the look on his face that it's an experience, it's an experience that he knows. And then how amazing that they talk about surrender, and Oma Star's first song today was all about surrender. So that's kind of a nice little added thing. I'm going to bring Oma Star on to see if there's anything that comes up for you, and then we're going to go to Diara for a prayer.
Yeah, that was probably fresher than when I first saw it. And maybe because we've all grown, we have this container called the Awakening World and the Global Peace Tribe. And when we're in it, we're all rising together. So it's like you can't see the forest from the trees. But for myself, I think I connect to it more now, to Shakinawa and Sanandaji. And her song at the beginning, I could really hear it deep in my cells. It was beautiful. And so I'm really grateful to bring that up again, because we haven't heard from them for a while. I know they're enjoying their sanctuary at the moment, which is brilliant. And up in Ashland, it's just such a precious place. And so thank you for bringing it up, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And to stay in that kind of prayerful place, I'm going to turn it over to Diara.
Thank you, Scott. Hello, everyone. Just bringing in the beauty that was just gifted to us and that we've been experiencing throughout the whole show, this divine love that we are, and inviting this love deep into our cells, our imaginal cells, and the space that's in between all of who we are as physical matter is filled with this divine love now. Expanding wherever your vibration is at the moment, loving the vibration of who you are. And taking a breath in as you notice it rise, just by loving the way it is in this moment. And we pray that all beings are able to access and find this level of peace and community, this level of love, and that this love wash over all the land, transmuting, transforming, doing that magical alchemy to shift the vibration of each and everyone, no matter where they are, so it becomes higher and higher and higher in love. And celebrating that divine innocence that rests within us all, that innocent child, that divine child. And as we do that, we send this prayer of love and protection out to all children of all beings, of all species, here and beyond. And we pray that our words are heard. We pray that our hearts are known. And we pray for the miracles in this time of light, in this time of darkness shifting to light. And we know the power of our collective prayer. And so we take that now together and we send that into ourselves and out to each other, to our communities around the world and beyond. And we give great thanks and great blessings to the awakening world and the Global Peace Tribe and all those connected, known and unknown. And in love we say, and so it is.
Thank you, dear.
Oh.
We go to gallery view and just holding space for a moment all together. And sending special love and prayers to the flotilla trying to take food and supplies to Gaza. And Dr. Laura, if you're with us, maybe put in the chat box if there's any news on how things are going with the flotilla. The last I heard was many of the boats have been intercepted and stopped by Israel. But just sending extra love to all the places in the world where there's suffering. We are all so privileged to have food, shelter, safety. We are so blessed. So I want to share a little bit because some of you saw that I did mention that I don't know about doing the Awakening World beyond this season. And I'm going to say I love doing this show. I absolutely love it. And I have love for all of you, and I love what we've created. But I'm also one of those people that I like to keep changing things up sometimes too. And so I have a perception that I want to make some sort of a shift. Now, ideally, I would love for the shift to be that we're reaching a lot more people. And I'm grateful for those of you and those of us that are gathering together on a regular basis, and it's precious to me. And people have asked, well, what do you want to do next? I don't know yet. I really don't. I'm not being cagey. I'm just in the awareness that our awakening world is literally and figuratively constantly changing. And so your feedback and what you guys want really means a lot to me. And I've made several notes based on the comments that came in today. Let's stay in the dialogue with each other and see how things evolve. But I'm grateful for those of you that have subscribed to the new season. A few of you were a little confused about links. I did this morning. I was very careful to make sure that everybody who has registered for the new season is on one central list. And I did send out an email this morning to all those people. So if you got that email today with the proper links with little blue, so you can easily click it, you are properly registered for this new season. And if you didn't get that email, then maybe you didn't register for this particular season. So just want to be clear about that. And I want to thank all of you for being part of who we are and what we do. And I'm going to take a look. I see more messages have come in, so I'm going to see. Eleanor Joy says the link worked for you tonight. Yay! Lorna, connect with the Shift Network. Well, one thing that's wonderful is a lot of our favorite people are connecting with the Shift Network. Actually, Stephen Dinan, who owns and runs Shift Network, is a friend and a neighbor. He was, of course, on our show when we were honoring our beloved sacred activist. Oh, please help me. I cannot believe I'm
Andrew Harvey.
Andrew Harvey, thank you. Stephen was on that show. Ray Amana is doing a program for the Shift Network, which I think we promoted that actually when we also had her on with Andrew Harvey. So, and thank you, Dorina Joy. In fact, I'm gonna pull that up. Dorina Joy, since Jane Goodall just passed. Here is a picture of Jane Goodall, and the quote goes, "Each and every one of us makes some impact on the planet every single day that we live. And we're in a fortunate position of being able to choose what sort of impact we make." It's beautiful. Thank you, Dorina Joy, for pulling that up and putting that there. Dr. Laura is suggesting that we decrease Global Peace Tribe to once a week. Please be Saturdays. That's an interesting thought. Kind of like, if I'm going to continue to do it, I think I continue to do it twice a week, though. I kind of like, for me, it breaks up the week and it gives me something to look forward to, actually. But I do feel like there's something coming, something new. Dr. Laura says that there is a second flotilla going to Gaza. So let's absolutely put our prayers and blessings in for that flotilla to make it. More comments coming in. I'm sorry, I'm kind of scanning. George, probably send me a text message with your new email address, okay? Yeah, maybe I will try and brainstorm with Stephen about that. It's a good idea. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you very much. All right, there's one last video that I want to play, and it's going to take me a moment to pull it up, but I thought it'd be kind of fun. And that is from Michael Beckwith, who's one of my favorite teachers, and I can say somebody that I really have a lot of love with. And it's this was from way back in December of 2021, so it's going back pretty far. And it was Michael sharing about his spiritual teachers, his spiritual influences, which I thought was very, very interesting. And he shares some interesting, candid stuff. Some of you that are old timers might even remember this, but anyway, here we go, our last video for tonight, and then we'll have an Om Shar song to close us out. Here's Michael Beckwith. Influenced you, and maybe how you apply that to your life.
The first one that comes to my awareness is probably the greatest mystic to come out of America, and that is a man by the name of Walter Russell. And Walter Russell went into a state of cosmic consciousness and wrote the Divine Iliad, all those volumes without any editing from a very expanded state of consciousness. He wrote The Secret of Light. He predicted the elements in the periodical table way before scientists even knew they existed. For me, when I had my spiritual awakening, I didn't have any teachers. I didn't know what was happening to me. And so as I studied him, it was my first foray into the understanding of what mysticism was, the understanding of the universal cosmic laws, and so it deeply imprinted me in a very powerful way. So there was a little small book that introduced me to him. It was called The Man Who Tapped the Secrets of the Universe. It was by Glenn Clark. It was about Walter Russell. And then that led me to reading another small little book called The Man Who Talked with Flowers. And that was about the great mystic known as George Washington Carver. And most people thought that George Washington Carver was a scientist, or that they understood him from his the efficacy of the peanut and things of that. But that didn't even cover who George Washington Carver was. And so that led me to understand that George Washington Carver was a full-blown mystic who would go out at 4 o'clock in the morning and ask Mother Nature and ask the presence of God the usefulness of particular plants or the soil or the earth. And the plants would reveal to him their efficacy and their secrets. And then he would go into his laboratory and prove what he had gleaned through his mystical connection to Mother Nature. Most of the great ministers that were coming out at that particular time, he was their teacher. But they had to meet with him at night because he was a Black man, and it was forbidden for a Black man to teach white men anything. And then the other great teacher was Howard Washington Thurman. He was a great Christian theologian mystic. And he ended up writing this treatise called Jesus and the Disinherited. And he began to teach the teachings of Jesus and how the teachings of Jesus apply to everyone: white, Black, rich, poor, woman, man. And at the end of this treatise, he writes, I'm no longer necessarily a follower of Christianity. I'm a follower of the teachings of Jesus. So he separated himself from Christianity as it was at that time and followed the teachings of Jesus. And because of that, in many circles, he was labeled a heretic and shunned by the Christian religion. And he ended up starting a church in San Francisco called the Church of All People, which was the first integrated Christian church in America. He loved Emerson, he loved Thoreau, he loved, the great mystics of the ages, and still embraced the teachings of Jesus. So he was a great influence of me, because he was able to not only embrace the cosmic awareness of Jesus, but he was able to bring into the darkest moments, into moments in which humanity was walking through, and bring light to there without denying tragedy, without denying loss, without denying death, without denying disease that human beings walk through. He was able to bring into those dark moments this great teaching of this great teacher, Jesus. Sri Aurobindo out of India came into my life. He was very influential in my thinking and in my articulation. I even went to India. I went to Oroville in India. Sri Aurobindo was a cohort of Gandhi, and they were seeking to free themselves from the shackles and the oppression of Great Britain. And when Sri Aurobindo was jailed with Gandhi many times, one of the times in which he was jailed, he went into full-blown cosmic consciousness. And when he came out, he told Gandhi that, he was still with him, but that he was being called into another way of freeing humanity, and that was through spiritual teachings. I met Dr. King. I was a small boy, and he was doing a West Coast fundraising tour for SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And my mother took me to Holman's Methodist Church to hear him speak. I was 9 or 10 years old. Wow. So after he spoke, I met him. We shook hands. I remember saying to my mother, wow, he has such soft hands. And she said, well, he does a different kind of work, baby, And then subsequently, when he was assassinated, it impacted me to want to make a difference on the planet. And then his articulation of what agape love was infused my soul with an understanding of unconditional love and the love of God operating in the human heart. Dr. Thurman was a great teacher of Martin Luther King Jr. And Dr. King carried the treatise of Jesus and the Disinherited with him. So Thurman greatly influenced King in terms of the nonviolent movement, the way that Gandhi influenced Thurman. Most people don't know that Gandhi was influenced by Thoreau's writings on civil disobedience influenced Gandhi. Gandhi influences Thurman. Thurman brings it back to Dr. King. You know, I wear Dr. Thurman's robe when I speak at Rankin Hall at Howard University. They allow me to wear his robe when I'm speaking. When I first met Dr. Lawrence Carter, who is a powerful being at Morehouse College, he runs the Martin Luther King Chapel there. When he came to see me speak at Agape, the first thing that Lawrence Carter said was, wow, you're more Thurman-esque than Thurman, because he knew Dr. Thurman. Because of the one, trans-denominational is what we call ourselves. Two, everybody was at Agape, doesn't, you know, race, creed, color, sexual orientation, you know, whatever, it's all there. So I think I picked up on that, but I was also raised that way. You know, my mother's house was a hub of a lot of the civil rights movement as growing up. And we would meet at the house and we would decide which stores we were going to picket in order to bring about justice to people of color and wages and things like that. But in my mother's home, you know, when we would meet, there were white people, black people, Jewish people, straight people, gay people. It was all a part of the gestalt of me growing up. So a lot of things that people had to grow into. I didn't have to grow into that because that was just a part of my upbringing. When I was a freshman in college, and it was a mandatory talk by this man. I didn't know who he was at the time, even though I knew there was a Thurman Hall. We had to go hear Howard Thurman speak. So I'm a freshman, and the title of his talk was something along the lines of the benefits of slavery. So I'm 17 years old, I'm revolutionary, I'm activist minded, and I'm thinking, what, this old guy is talking about the benefits of slavery? What is he going to tell me? So me and my cohorts, we go in there and we sit like in the middle, third, fourth row back. We wanted to be right there and hear what this guy had to say. So after this long introduction about who he was, you know, he begins to speak in a very slow cadence. And he talks about the African mind, this mind that was growing up in Africa near the rivers, very connected to the trees, very connected to the ground, this field of abundance, and then being stolen from their homeland and then placed all around the world. And that this capacity to have a deep sense of compassion, a deep sense of forgiveness, a deep sense of love from a field of abundance, not scarcity, was now spread all around the world for such a time as this. And that perhaps, of course, slavery was not a good thing. Of course, it's not God ordained. But perhaps the benefits of it was that you had these beings that were exiled from Africa all around the world that had this capacity for compassion and this capacity from this deep sense of connection of the earth was now all around the world.
Wow.
That was once only on this one continent. And we're sitting there like, what? I mean, we were mesmerized by this, you know what I mean? Now, I didn't understand all these concepts. I'm 17 years old. Later, maybe the next year I met him. He wanted to meet all the guys from California that had come in. And I'll share this with you. We had all dropped a tab of acid. We didn't know we were going to meet Howard Thurman that night. And we were on our way to get something to eat. And people caught up with us and says, Dr. Thurman wants to meet with you guys. You know, he wants to meet with the guys who have been recruited from the big cities to the South to come to the school, Morehouse College, which Dr. King was an alumni of, which is why I went there. And I said, oh no, I don't want to meet him now. I dropped a tab of acid. I don't want to meet Dr. Thurman like this, but inevitably we got to meet him. And I remember he was down the hall and I'm, as they say back in those days, you know, I was peaking on the acid. The closer I got to him, the more sober my mind became. And by the time I got in his presence, the clarity, the articulation. I didn't feel I was on acid at all. It was just in a very clear space. And we had a great conversation and told him about my experience at Morehouse. And he was checking in on us and had some great conversation. Shook his hand. He went his way, we went ours. And the further I got away from him, the more the effects of the acid began to take over again. It was amazing. It was like in his presence, it was nothing. Out of his presence, it was like I could see trails. I remember sitting on the curb that night, watching the trails of cars go by, thinking about that phenomenon. Why did the clarity and the insight, why did that happen in his presence? And then when he left, the acid took its toll. It was, again, years later, I'm aware of somebody's presence. I'm aware of the energy that people carry, you know. But I'll always remember that. Yeah, I mean, I don't do any drugs at this time in my life, and the last 40 years have not.
There is something that is greater than even the high of this drug.
Yes, he wasn't just an academician about mysticism. You know, he was having an encounter with the presence, and that carried a frequency and a vibration of love and joy and generosity and compassion that would emanate through his voice, you know. And even though I didn't meet a Walter Russell, I know he carried that frequency as well, though I didn't get to meet George Washington Carver. Yeah, it would be Carver and Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo really spoke about the potential of humanity being a God-man or God-woman and the inner visioning. I don't know if he used that language, but I remember in studying him, it impacted me. And I became very aware that it's really about the expansion of consciousness. So the vision process was born out of my awareness of in building Agape. We wanted to actually be the containers for unconditional love. We actually wanted to be the next great expression of human unfoldment, the next great unfolding of the human species, not just create a church, but actually carry the frequency of what we wanted to teach. And so it's an inner awareness of love, inner awareness of peace and of joy and of harmony. And I always have taught from the very beginning that you can't have permanently what you're not willing to become in consciousness. You can manipulate and have things temporarily. But if you're going to have something in your life, then you have to actually become it in vibration, in frequency. You have to embody those particular frequencies. And then even if you temporarily lose it, it'll always come back because that's who you are. As we're not trying to be ascended masters, we're trying to be descended masters. We're trying to actually bring the energy here, not go there. And now when people try to go there, sometimes they don't embody it. And they live in this straining of trying to get somewhere, where when you begin to really wake up, you begin to realize that you're already enlightened. What you're doing is you're just removing the mental, emotional obstacles to seeing who you are. There's a great friend of mine who was a part of the Paramahansa Yogananda crew. We used to meditate at his house all the time. And during one of his meditations, there was an appearance to me as if Yogananda had appeared. And I can remember him saying to me that I was not to have a guru, that I was to go direct. I could be influenced, I can study, I can learn from all the teachers, but I was not necessarily to go the guru path. And that became my path. I studied, I was influenced by great beings on the planet, the ones that I've mentioned, but most of my growth was through direct encounter with the presence. So Paramahansa was an authentic, awakened being that I was influenced by as well. Yeah.
That was interesting, wasn't it? Yeah, and I'm remembering I haven't watched that video in a long time, and I'd forgotten what a wonderful job of editing we did, complete with a little LSD moment there. So I will reach out again to Michael because he hasn't been on the show for well over a year. I'll see if I can get him on the show again before we close out in December. And I will take a look. I see there's a lot of comments that have come in during this Michael Beckwith piece. I will review them while Omoshar is playing. By the way, a reminder that there is the Earthstock Festival, and Omoshar, I'm going to bring you on. Maybe you can tell people a little bit about this while I pull it up.
I can, and tomorrow is the last day of the event, Earthstock. It's an amazing event. You got to go and check it out for yourself. You can go and catch a bunch of replays, and Michael DiMartino has got about 100 different presenters presenting on all aspects of eco-responsibility and spirituality and music and the arts. And I have a virtual broadcast tomorrow, a half-hour concert at 10:30 Pacific time, which is good for me because I'm in Colorado, so it's 11:30 for me. So for me to have my voice ready for 10:30, I have to get up at 8 and start humming and hearting. So Susan Bloomquist says use the Hubcast channel. I didn't know it was on Hubcast. Well, that's brilliant. Thank you, Susan. So hubcast.com, I think it is. And as Scott is talking about the potential for this format of this show, which has been holding us all in this wonderful womb, we all feel when there's a potential of something ending that we're going to lose out. I'm not too sure what it is within me because it presses something. But no matter what will happen, always something great will happen. I do hope it continues, but if it morphs into something different, that's all right too. But as I think I speak for most of us in that it has, no matter what's going on in my life, the Wednesday and the Saturday, and initially it was, I don't know, we had about 20 shows a week. The Wednesday and the Saturday, including the Sacred Sunday, the Wednesday and the Saturday, I could be grumpy. I can had a challenging day, but it always lifts me. No matter how I enter the show, I end up feeling in community, feeling on purpose, feeling as if I have a purpose, not because I play the music, but because we're all rising together with all this delicious knowledge that comes through and wisdom. I mean, holy smoke, Michael Beckwith, I could listen to that 10 times and get something different from it each time. So blessings to Scott, but also on whatever the choice is made. But also we've got to realize that we are being divinely directed. And for me, being on this show is a service. Whether anything comes from it or not, it's a service. And I realized that one of the reasons we're in embodiment and on the planet is to serve. Then that is number one, to serve. Everything else comes from that. If we're here to take and take and take, then we've already lost the plot. And so I am honoring Scott's service because this is huge for him. The amount of effort he has to put in for each show. Let's say you have 4 or 5 presenters. He's got to communicate with them constantly. It's like herding cats. And, at least if it was jazz, you can say, here, boy, here, girl, whatever. But, so it's a massive effort. And at the same time, he's juggling the plate of being a love coach, which is a deeply intensive dive for Scott to open his heart, and then he pops out of that and has a grape, and then comes on this show and da-da. I'm just kind of spouting here, but it's a lot, and I don't know what's next except something even greater. We shall see. Let's see how the next couple of months goes. And so, without further ado, I'm going to. I don't know if we have any more announcements, Scott, but I shall play a gentle song here called Spiral Through the Stars. And it's one that Alan Steinfeld actually hoped to have as his theme tune, but it's $10,000 it's going to cost him. So I'm just putting it out to the universe because it's worth $1 million. So anything more, Scott? How are we doing?
We're doing great. Thank you for everything you shared. And yeah, I don't really actually have any more announcements. I already showed what's going to be on Wednesday night is going to be another Authors That We Love. And a week from tonight is our monthly Soul Search. And Eleanor Joy is already up and ready to dance. So I'm going to add her and remove myself. And take it away, brother.
I will. Can you hear me okay?
You sound great.
Yeah, I just changed mic source. You just talked about Soul Search. And I was when I was in San Diego, I hung out with Tangela. And what a cuddly young woman she is. She is so loving. And when I met her, because I've only met her once before in person, she just we ran up to each other and gave, soul sister brother hugs. She's just an absolutely gloriously lovely being. And none of us would believe what she's experienced in her life to date. Really, it's amazing. Maybe we'll have a show about Tangela one day before the end of this season. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, Tangela is a force of nature. Absolutely.
Absolute force of nature. So, here we go. I think we're all good. Let me just check that. That's good. And this. Perfect. This tale I tell, it has no ending. I'd like you to know we are all on an incredible journey, a traveling show. I've been looking at you in your homeland, watching you grow, weaving light into creation, a heavenly glow. I have been inside you for so long, I will be with you forever. Come with me, let's spiral through the stars. Part of you has always remembered since the beginning of time. Through your hearts you felt my presence, a knowing sublime. I've been guiding you beyond your perception, forever your friend. Take some time and get to know me, I'll welcome you home. I'll welcome you home. I have been inside you for so long. I will be with you forever. Come with me, let's spiral through the stars. We have been inside you for so long. We will be with you forever. We'll come with you and spiral through the stars.
Beautiful. That was just beautiful.
Thank you.
so much.
Yeah, I felt it too. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. And thank you, everybody. I'm going to go to gallery view one last time. Wishing all of you a beautiful rest of the weekend. Tomorrow is Sunday. Make it a sacred Sunday by choosing to see the divine in all. And let's keep those prayers going for Gaza and all the places where suffering is taking place in the world. And I hope to see you all on Wednesday night.